Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here this evening. It's a great joy for us to be up in Sunderland again. I first met Sunderland for Transparency, I think it was back in February, after they got in contact with me to say that they wanted the TaxPayers Alliance to come and lend our support to this fantastic organisation. And in many ways, the way both groups started out is quite similar. You said you didn't think the turnout was particularly good. Well, actually, I think it's very good when you consider that the TaxPayers Alliance was started in a cafe with about 4 people. So I think you should be proud of what you've achieved so far, and give it another year. And this may well be, we were selling out we might well be selling out the Stadium of Light. You never know. So no, it's my absolute pleasure to be here, and I think the team have done fantastic work exposing a lot of the waste of taxpayers' money that is going on in the council at the moment. We obviously live in a time when trust in politicians is, I think it's fair to say, a bit of an all-time low, and I think accountability is one of those key messages that the TPA tries to bring through in everything that we do. And it's fantastic that you have a group like Sunderland for Transparency who that is their main motivation. The Taxpayers Alliance does not care whether it's the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats, the Green Party, the Conservatives in charge of a council. If a council is not using taxpayers' money wisely and it is being wasted, we will go after them. If they do something good with taxpayers' money, then we will praise them. It does not matter which party they are from. It's simple as that. And I think that's one of the core values of the Sunderland for Transparency, and I think they do a great job in bringing that message across, because after all, it is our money. It is not the government's money. It is not Sunderland City Council's money. It is our money. You all work hard here, I'm sure. You all probably despair like I do when you see your council tax bill every year going up by another 4 or 5% and think, where's the money going? And then you drive on the roads, they're potholed, your bins aren't being collected properly, and then they're trying to introduce another charge. Something we've just learnt tonight, that was it £60 million for a new council headquarters, and apparently the one you've got already is perfectly good. This is not what taxpayers' money should be used for. It should be going on frontline services. Councils cannot claim that they do not have money for things like adult social care and then go and splurge £60 million on some fancy new headquarters. Very similar to what we saw in Northampton, down in the south, where they spent, I think it was £54 million on a new headquarters. They realised they couldn't afford it, so they had to sell it and then lease it back to themselves. And then not long after that, council had to go into special measures because their finances were in such dire situation. So I hope that doesn't happen here. I hope the council sees sense and abandons their plans for that. But that may well be something we have to come back and campaign on. But the main reason we are up here tonight is to support Sunderland for Transparency, and indeed we're going to be out in the city centre even tomorrow, doing handing out leaflets and speaking to the good people of Sunderland about the many ways in which money is wasted by the council. And one of the things that staggered me was £35 million on gagging orders for council staff between 2011 and 2016. It is way above any other nearby councils. You've got a chief executive who's on £180,000 a year. Now, I have no problem with a chief executive earning £180,000 a year if they actually deliver value for money on that. If you all came to me and said, no, we're really happy, the roads are smooth as silk, our bins are being collected, the adult social care is good, I'd have no problem with that. But I suspect none of you here tonight feel that you're getting value for money for that £180,000. On top of that, you've got another 8 people, receiving over £100,000 in their salaries every year, 3 of whom we do not know what their positions are. They are undisclosed. One of them is something like the Director for Transport Strategy in Place or something like that. It's some wishy-washy title that if you went home to your mum and dad and told them you just got a job as that, I think they'd laugh at you and tell you to go and get a proper job, quite frankly. But this is sadly the situation that we live in now. And then looking at our own research, £128,000 spent on flights between 2015 and 2018. 9 of the flights are in business class. Now, it's all very well if you work for Nissan or Sony or something where you sell a product that people want and that you go business class, but not when we're paying for it. We should not be paying for bureaucrats to go on these fact-finding missions, that's what they call them, and they usually end up going to places like Cannes in France or somewhere there was, in fact, I've got a recollection that it was Sunderland went to Japan to do this. I'm sure it was. I remember making a graphic about that, and I think the business class flights, I hope I don't get this wrong, but totaled somewhere around £20,000. And that is £20,000, as I say, that is not going into adult social care, it's not going into fixing the roads, it's not going to improving bin collection, keeping the streets clean, all those things that you as citizens who are paying ever increasing amounts of council tax. You may not know this, but since 1997, council tax across the United Kingdom has increased by 60% in real terms. You know, that is a lot of money. And how many here feel you've seen an improvement in your council services in that time? Decline. Exactly, and that's really sad. And this is the sad thing for us. We find so much waste in councils everywhere we look. We do a number of freedom of information requests every year, you know, asking councils about exactly what they're spending money on. And it's everything. It's the small things as well that matter. You know, it can be. There was a great example recently about a road sign had to be moved at a cost of £10,000 because they got the location wrong. But all these things add up. They're all small things and they add up. And this is, as I say, I keep saying it, this is all money that can be going into frontline services, the things that matter. And councils need to get their priorities right. So, as I say, yeah, it's my great pleasure to be supporting Sunderland for Transparency, and I wish them years and years of success. And I think, you know, you've already achieved so much. And how many years have you been going now? 1 year. 1 year. Well, I think possibly actually achieved more than the TaxPayers Alliance did in its first year, if I'm honest, which was about 15 years ago. So I think you're doing a fantastic job. And you know, any way we can support what you do, we're very happy to do. Long may it continue. So if you are going to be in the city centre tomorrow, do come and join us for the action day. It would be very interesting hearing what local people have to say about the issues that affect them. And this is what we do. This is our bread and butter stuff. We go around the country. We are in our Westminster bubble, unfortunately, but we like to get out of it and come and see what people actually outside of that bubble believe, and it's always very, very interesting. And it's, as I say, it's very simple. People want good services, they want their council tax kept low, they don't want to see money wasted on frivolous things that they don't need. If we lived in a world where we had loads of money and we could spend money on all sorts of new council, that'd be fine, but we don't. We live in times where sadly we do not have an abundance of money, and we have to manage what we have well. And councils that don't do that should be held to account. And I'd like to congratulate Sunderland for Transparency on their excellent work on this, and long may it continue. Thank you. Yeah.